Welcome to Tech News Briefing. It's Thursday, November 16th. I'm Julie Chang for the Wall Street Journal. More and more people are making the switch to electric vehicles, but there's still a lot that needs to be done when it comes to EV charging. Namely, that many charging stations simply don't work. To get a better sense of the problem, our senior personal tech columnist, Joanna Stern, flew out to California. Over a period of 48 hours, she visited more than 120 EV fast charging stalls. Joanna is with us now to tell us more about her experience. Before we jump into the problems you encountered, I want to start with why Los Angeles County?
LA County has more public DC fast chargers than any other county in the country. That means they have a ton of these fast chargers from companies like EVgo and Electrify America. So I decided, why not go to LA and why not rent a car and try it out? The main thing here was I didn't want to do a Tesla. I was really focused on the non-Tesla world because I don't have a Tesla. And most EVs that are not a Tesla have a CCS charging port. And that means that typically the best charging experience is going to be at one of these DC fast chargers where you can plug in from the CCS plug and get a fast charge and hopefully charge in under 40 minutes or so.
Okay, so tell us about the first issue you noticed.
Out of the 126 stalls I inspected, 27% of them were out of order. And that meant they had a sign or a dead screen or an error that read charger unavailable or out of service. So basically, you just couldn't use that stall. Most of the chargers that I used came from 3 different companies: EVgo, Electrify America, and EVCS. And I reached out to all of these companies, and they told me that they have network operators that monitor these chargers 24/7. And when they see these problems, they deploy technicians. So it just happened to be that when I was at these places those days, the technicians just hadn't been there. And when I asked what the particular issue would have been to see something that says charger unavailable or out of order, they really couldn't say. They said it could be one of many things.
For the charging stations that did work, what other problem did you encounter?
So one of my favorite stops is I get to an EVgo charger in Culver City. I repeatedly try to use my credit card. Present card again. Okay, nope. Let's see if this will work. Now it's telling me to swipe the card. Present card again. Swiping my other card. Nope, nothing. And eventually it just tells me cash only accepted. And of course, there's no place to put cash into this machine. But it really represented the fact that there are a lot of payment issues if you are paying by credit card. And at nearly 10% of the working stalls that I visited, they had payment issues.
And what did the company say about that issue?
One of the best answers I got was from somebody who worked at EVCS, and he said that the maker of the physical hardware that's in the charger is different than the company that makes the payment module, and so that there can be integration problems. I also heard from a representative at EVgo that one of the things that California state requires is that they have chip readers on these machines, and that chip reader can often break down. And so that's another main issue with these chargers and paying at them. One thing that did really work and what all the companies really were highlighting is using their apps to pay. You set up an account, you put in your credit card information, and you go to the location in the app and you say, hey, I'm charging at this charger, plug in and hit start charging in the app. That works really well.
All right, so out of order signs, payment errors. What was the third problem you faced?
So this is called the Handshake. And basically, the charger and the car are computers. And so when you are hooking them up to each other, they both have to talk to each other, both in hardware and software, about how much power and voltage can be sent, how much power and voltage can be accepted. And so there's a lot of complicated communication that happens between these two things. And what can typically happen is there's an error along the way. It could be a network error. It could be the fact that these two don't communicate in the right amount of time, and there's a timeout because the CCS standard actually has a finite amount of time that these things have to communicate before saying, hey, let's start again. The companies said this is a known issue, especially around CCS charging, but they try to, in the hardware and on the screens of these chargers, to let you know what's happening. And that's actually a bit of a relief for the user because you know that things are happening and you're not just seeing a spinning circle that then ultimately ends up saying error detected.
What's being done on a broader scale to address these issues?
Well, you have things happening in a few different places. you have car companies partnering with Tesla to be able to charge at their network, which has been more reliable and more widespread. And so that's going to start happening in 2024. The second is you're seeing companies like EVgo and Electrify America and EVCS improving their hardware. In fact, at one of the stops I made in Chinatown, it said, okay, you can charge at this location at Chinatown, but then we pull up and actually the chargers are still in shrink wrap. And that was because Electrify America is installing new hardware at that location. So all of the charging companies told me they're doing that. They're also actively trying to fix those chargers that might be broken. And that's really the third thing. The Biden administration recently opened up $100 million in federal funding to repair and replace existing electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So all of this combined should make us feel better about what's going to come and that there's going to be improvements on the horizon if you're pulling into one of these stations. But right now, the reality in LA is that things are pretty messy.
That was our senior personal tech columnist, Joanna Stern. And that's it for our Tech News Briefing. Today's show was produced by Anthony Bancy with supervising producer Melanie Roy. I'm Julie Chang for the Wall Street Journal. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening.